Good evening and thank you for joining us on Monday Special. Tonight, as Hussein Mohammed is saying, we are discussing child molestation, a very sensitive topic, but one that we must tackle nonetheless. And we are just going to have some numbers that are going to come up on our screen just now. According to Childline Kenya, we have some data from January to April of this year. 19 children were reported in cases of child abandonment. 8 cases were reported in kidnapping or child abduction, again from January to April of this year. 25 cases of child labor. Child neglect, 144 cases. Child prostitution, 1 case that was reported in February of this year. Early or forced marriage, 27 cases. That's just in 4 months. Child trafficking, 9 cases. Emotional abuse, 9 cases. Physical abuse, 134 cases. Sexual abuse, 98 cases reported. And remember, these are minors, of course, those who are under the years of 18. And of course, to discuss this, as usual, we have an interesting panel ready for you that will be tackling this topic for us. I'll start with my extreme right. We have Judy Aoko, who is a survivor and will be sharing with us her story tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We have Peter Owor, who is a psychologist, and you have also dealt with cases to do with children as well. You will be giving us your input on that. We have Mike Washira to my left. Welcome, Mike. He's a human rights activist with CREO Kenya. And finally, we have Mercy Shege, who is a child psychologist and also the CEO of Childline Kenya. Thank you all so much for making the time to join us on the show tonight. I want to start with you, Mercy. When you hear child molestation, this is, of course, very broad from what we've seen on our screens. What comes to mind to someone when they just hear the word child molestation?
I think the first thing that you think is that there's a child in so much trouble, and there's either another child or another adult who is involved. Mm-hmm. So it rings a bell of abuse, a child whose rights have been violated, a child who is in need of help, mm-hmm. and there are people who are involved, and some of them could be children, or it could be adults, people in positions of authority, mm-hmm. people in positions of trust. Mm-hmm. So you can see the whole, or you can see the whole scenario that somebody is in need, and the person that they really trust, the person that they think is an authority figure, mm-hmm. or the person they think is a peer and a friend that they have played with, is a person who is involved.
All right.
So
let me come to you, Peter. This does not only have to involve sexual abuse.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Well, we look at it as child maltreatment. Actually, it cut across, because right from the forms of child abuse, where you find the physical, emotional, and you see just a case that you've just shown here before. You see the caretakers, at times they abuse these people. So it doesn't only narrow down to sexual abuse. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it cut across.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Mike, specifically, we are going to tackle sexual abuse with you a little later in this show. But why is there a perception that when we talk about child molestation, as you know, Mercy and Peter are saying, it's broad? Mm-hmm. But most of the time, people think it has to do with sexual abuse. Why is that?
Because this is the thing that we are assaulted with almost every single day. Mm-hmm. You open up a newspaper and you hear a teacher in a certain school has impregnated 20 girls. Mm-hmm. Then you hear another story where there is, sexual abuse happening within the home, and it's either the father or it's a close relative who has perpetrated that abuse. And so these are the stories that we get to hear of more often, and that's why for us, we've sort of formed it in our minds that this is the foremost way that a child can be abused.
All right. I want to cross over to you now, Judy. You are ready to share with us your story. Before we started, you said no holds barred. You can give us full details. So just take us through your journey. How old are you now? When did you undergo child molestation? What form and how old were you?
Okay, I'm Judy. I underwent child molestation when I was 13 years. I used to live with my aunt at Nakuru. Then, since my aunt used to live in a single room, they requested a neighbor if the family can assist her so that I can be sleeping in their house. So during that process, the husband used to come at night, and then he molests me, then he goes back to his wife.
By molestation, you mean sexual abuse?
Yeah, I mean sexual abuse. But since my aunt used to abuse me, he used to beat me so much, so I was afraid of her. I could not tell anybody. I have no parents, I have nobody to tell, so I have to keep quiet and keep it for myself. Until after 2 months, 3 months, she suspected that I was pregnant since of the changes. Then she confronted me, but since I was afraid of her, I could not say who the owner of the pregnancy is. So I kept on denying, I'm not pregnant, I've never had sex. And the man told me that if I said, he'll kill me. So I was afraid of my aunt and of the man.
So this is a case where you are suffering from physical abuse?
Yes.
From your aunt, you're suffering from sexual abuse?
Yeah.
From your neighbor who is also housing you?
Yeah.
Were you in school? You were 13. Were you going to school?
I was not in school. Since my parents died when I was a kid, then my aunt took me. She took me up to class 4. When I reached class 4, she stopped. Then she said that I'll be helping her to sell maize in the market. So I used to go and sell maize in the market. At night, I go and sleep, and the man comes. Yeah.
You, you're 25 now, right?
Yeah,
this
25.
is 12 years ago. As you're saying, as a result of this molestation, you got pregnant.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. After your aunt discovered that you're pregnant, you didn't deny it. You kept the baby.
Yeah. Okay, after they discovered, I was taken to a clinic, and then they reported the case. But after sometimes they wanted to withdraw the case, but another uncle said no, that man must be taken an action. So they revived the case again. They arrested the man, and then from that, from the police station, they brought me direct to Holistic Counseling and Center. I was not taken back to my aunt since she used to still abuse me, still beat me, even after discovering that I was pregnant. Yeah.
Now, by this time, sorry, Judy, had you moved out of your neighbor's house after you got pregnant? Did you go back to live with your aunt?
Yeah. Yeah, I lived with her until the police took me from there. Since she used to abuse me so much, they beat me until I started feeling pains. Then they took me to a clinic where they did some tests. Then they said that I cannot go back there because of my security and of my health. Then they brought me to Holistic. Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a short break now, but please do share your stories, your comments, or your thoughts on child molestation. Again, as we are saying, it does not only involve sexual abuse. As Judy is telling us, it could be physical abuse, it could be child labor, it could be child neglect. What are some of your thoughts? Do share them on 22422. Leave your name and your location, and of course, you can tweet us on @CitizenTV Kenya. The hashtag is Monday Special KE. Don't go away. When we come back, we're going to discuss those crucial telltale signs that you can see from your child, that of course you can tell whether or not your child is a victim. So don't go away.